With more, here's our political editor Laura Kuenssberg, and her report contains some flashing images.
When is a crisis an opportunity? Right now, or as Johnson seems to believe.
Prime Minister, in the last few weeks you've lost major votes in the Commons. You've chucked some MPs out of your own party. The highest court in the land has found you broke the law and gave the wrong advice to the Queen. How do you think this is going?
Well, I think that it's going about as well as could be expected, if not slightly better.
Really?
Yeah, because look, this was always going to be a very difficult time. What we've got, basically, is a situation in which the people voted for leaving the EU, and yes, there are many people in all sorts of positions who don't think that was the right way to go. And I am tasked with getting it over the line, getting Brexit done by October the 31st. And I think we always knew that as we came up to that deadline, things would get choppy. And if only we could all come together, get Brexit over the line, I think that fevers would cool, temperatures would come down, and it would be a great thing.
But
so that's what I'm trying to do.
But you're suggesting that people ought to come together when, transparently, you have been trying to create this idea of them and us.
Well, I think the truth is there's no way of getting Brexit done without, as it were, displeasing people who don't want Brexit to get done.
Under the proposals that you're about to take to Brussels, there would be extra checks on the island of Ireland. How and where?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the EU is going to insist on customs checks as we come out, as it is, then we will have to accept that reality, and there will have to be a system for customs checks away from the border. Now, we think that those checks can be absolutely minimal and non-intrusive and won't involve new infrastructure.
Isn't this just you putting forward similar proposals to what have been suggested that have been turned down so many times before?
Well, let's see where we get to. And as you know, we've made some very constructive and far-reaching proposals.
If there isn't a deal, whose fault will it be?
Well, I don't want to get into a blame game, but I think that the UK has really moved a long, long way.
You really believe that what you're about to put on the table could win the EU round? You really believe that?
Yes, I absolutely do, yes. And I urge you, Laura, to keep hope alive and not to...
Prime Minister, this is not about people feeling hopeful. This is about whether or not the government can come up with a deal with the European Union to protect the economy, to protect people's jobs and livelihoods. This is not about telling people to cheer up.
No.
It couldn't be more serious.
I know, but it's also a question of getting Brexit done by October the 31st and doing it in a way that protects the unity and integrity of the United Kingdom. And we are entitled to protect our customs union, and we are entitled to exit as a sovereign state. So with great respect to all those who are currently anxious about it, and particularly in Ireland, we do think that our proposals are good and creative, but I accept also, Laura, that there may be hard yards ahead.
There are nerves here in Manchester about what might come next, yet the Prime Minister largely has the Tory crowd on side.
Yesterday you denied that you touched a woman inappropriately at a lunch. She said you did. Is she lying?
No, I don't want to minimise the importance of this issue or people's concerns about this kind of thing. But in this case, it is simply not true.
So she is lying?
Look, I'm not going to go into whatever. When people make these kinds of allegations, they must always be taken very, very seriously. But in this case, it is not true.
Do you worry about what female voters think of you?
Yes, of course. And I think that these are important issues. When I was running London, we had an administration that was very, very largely women-led, and I was very proud of that.
Is the job harder than you thought it might be?
It's a wonderful job. It's a hard job, but I think that every day we are making progress.